Welcome to Glazed Over, a podcast for contemporary ceramic studios. We're your host, Jessica Cowan.
And Amy Williams. You're invited to join us in creative conversation about life in the arts as entertainment space.
Hey, Jess. Hey, Amy. How's it going?
It's good. We've gotten to see each other a lot this week. We've recorded 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I got to say, they've been bangers. Every single one. This episode included.
They might be the best ones in the series.
Hey, that's true. We sat down with Erin and Steve Racioppi today. They are definitely legends in the industry. They own a lot of studios. They go in and they've purchased a lot, and they've also just opened to kind of from scratch. So it was really nice to chat with them.
Yeah, it was. And, normally Erin and Steve talk about processes and training and systems, but today we got to talk to them about scouting new locations, what to look for, what is a hard no, and just kind of the ins and outs of not only building a location, but finding a location just in general so that you can get going and grow into your boots, so to speak.
Yeah. And, every time I sit down with Erin and Steve, I learn something new. And, some takeaways from this episode that I'm going to take with me aren't necessarily about studio locations. Like, I loved hearing Steve's hard no for a location. And I save that little nugget so you guys can listen for it. And hearing Erin talk about like what her favorite part of the studio is and these kind of happy accidents while building out spaces. But yeah, all in all, another banger, just like I said.
Yeah.
So everyone at home, enjoy. And, we look forward to hearing what you think. So we drop these in chatter every time they come out, and I love to hear feedback. So if you're enjoying the episode, please, tell us in chatter or rate and review and all that good stuff, because it does actually matter. When people say it on podcasts, it does matter.
Yeah. It's true. And you're allowed to talk to us and tell us what we could be doing better or what you want to see more of or who you want to hear from. And we'll do our best to get them on here.
Yes. But also be nice. I'm sensitive. All right.
Facts.
All right, everyone, enjoy the episode.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Hey podcasters, this is Lisa with Bisque Imports. Enjoy this podcast series from the CCSA, and for those of you who are looking to expand your knowledge on industry best practices, how to create some great samples, etc., don't forget to visit all the resources available on bisqueimports.com. Enjoy.
Are you ready to stay ahead of the curve in the fine arts industry? Look no further than CCSA Today, our quarterly magazine packed with business insights, industry trends, and operational tips tailored specifically for fine arts studio owners like you. Whether you prefer the printed or digital version, each issue of CCSA Today is full of valuable content to help you run a more efficient, profitable, and creative studio. You'll find everything from the latest business strategies to inspiring seasonal designs that keep your customers coming back for more. Don't miss out on this must-have resource. Become a member of the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association and get CCSA Today delivered right to your mailbox or inbox. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.
We have Erin and Steve Racioppi here, and we are going to talk about how to find a successful studio space, because they have found many successful studio spaces and even just opened the first kind of original store, right, from the ground up.
First and second.
Mm-hmm. First and second. Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
Well, tell us
Congrats.
a little bit about who you are and how long you've been in business, and we just want to hear the Racioppi pitch. Give it to us.
Well, okay, it starts with me. I painted at the latest Glaze in Bloomington, Indiana in college and loved it. I loved that with Paint Your Own Pottery, I've always been crafty, but I haven't said like, oh, I'm an artist, but I could go in there and create something that I loved and that would last a long time. So I had a business class and the professor said, go talk to a business owner in town. So I talked to the owner of the latest Glaze, and she told me actually about the CCSA like then. Oh. And pretty wild. So I wrote a business plan for my class to open a studio. Ended up doing it like after just under a year after graduating. I opened my first studio, and it was just, just my little pottery shop. So it's kind of fun to see that, after that I met Steve. And then we together, I had opened a second store, but then together we've purchased 5 studios and now opened the 2 like of our own from scratch type thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, pretty wild to say that. Yeah, my little pottery studio 23 years ago.
Wow. Where was that one?
The first one's in Wisconsin Dells. And my crazy idea was, because it's a really small town I grew up in, was to put the shop in Wisconsin Dells, which is a touristy town where there's a lot of visitors. So I thought, well, this is something Literally, I was waiting tables at the pizza place in town asking families, if there was a pottery studio here, would you guys paint pottery? Like, wouldn't that be a fun thing to do as a family on vacation? And I had enough people, encouraging me to do it that I went for it and opened one inside one of the resorts, actually, is where I landed.
That's crazy. And Steve, what's your background?
I was a lawyer in Atlanta, close to you, for 5 years. And I just kept watching Erin grow. And I was like, I need to do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just way more fun. And so I joined Erin in 2012, which is like, I guess 13 years ago now. Yeah, haven't looked back, haven't missed it at all. And it's been super fun to grow with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What kind of law did you practice? I've never asked you that.
I was a securities lawyer. And so I was never in a courtroom. So securities lawyer is, when a big company like Coca-Cola is going to like sell stock, raise money, issue debt, something like that. They have to file a bunch of paperwork with the SEC to do that. And so I would work on those documents and those filings and for public companies and things like that.
Oh,
That does not sound very fun.
All days of the week.
It was hard.
yeah. Pottery sounds way more fun.
Yeah.
Well, Steve brings the systems.
Tempers it.
Yeah, like, here's how we do it. Okay, how are we going to price it? Does it make sense? Let's actually look at the numbers, Erin, like that kind of stuff in the business where I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these cute pieces. Okay, we should have a collection that's with this theme. Like, look at this stuff over here. Anyway.
Relatable. That's me. Like, let's just order all the dragons. Why not? Like,
I mean, people want options.
yeah, right. I'm with you. So you ever need backup, I'm your girl.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think there's something too with just, husband, wife is one thing, but just man, woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I just feel like we need it. I need like a spreadsheet.
Right. It's like, get over
Erin
it.
has ideas all day long, every day, wants to do everything, buy every studio. So there's a lot, that's just on the work side. We have 4 kids and all that stuff, but, and I think I help kind of narrow our focus and kind of pick, what I think are the best steps to take. So I think we're great. I think we're a great compliment.
We're a good team.
Agreed.
Y'all are a dynamic duo for sure. And we all need somebody to keep us grounded too.
Right.
So.
For sure.
Tell us about these 2 new studios that you built from scratch.
So last year we opened our second location in San Antonio called Clay Casa. And then, towards the end of last year, we opened a second one in Orlando called All Fired Up. Those were really exciting. We'd never opened one outside of like a hotel on our own that we didn't buy. And so we'd never done that before. So it was really cool to go through that process. And I think the best part was, you get like a blank space and Erin hired a designer and you're able to put what you want exactly the right places and great shelving and millwork and pretty stuff that Erin picked out. I don't know. It's just super fun. And, we have such a great team now too, that we were able to hire and train quickly. And honestly, the stores just kind of started off just with a bang and haven't looked back, and they're doing really, really, really well.
Right. The stores we opened are in cities where we already have stores. Like we bought Sandy Kirkwood's store, Clay Casa, in 2020, right before COVID. So we had our store there, and then looking, like Steve said, I want to buy every studio. So I'm like, let's go to Boise. Let's, there's one for sale here. There's one here. There's, all these places. And he's like, what if we just grew where we already are? Like, we're already flying to San Antonio and
right
there, let's just go. And that makes sense. So we did it.
Don't you hate it? Don't you hate it when it makes sense?
So we already had Clay Casa there, open the second location. And it's cool too, to be able to continue what was started. And the stores we've purchased, they've all actually been open over 20 years. So, it's really neat to continue something that's been there for so long in the community. But then now to have this opportunity to grow within the community, right? It was cool. It's cool to hear people like, oh, I'm so glad you're over on this side of town now. We would drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And, and that was cool that they would drive that far, right, to come paint. But then, it's neat to be able to be in a new market and have new customers too, right? Who didn't maybe know about us on the other side of town. And now they're like, oh, I just drove by, or I was just over here at, Sephora or whatever, and stopped in. Yeah. So.
What was the process of like scouting locations? Like how did you land on where you grew? That seems to be, I would imagine that's very difficult and time consuming.
Especially when you're already in a city. So how do you know where the line is?
We certainly enjoy it. And so we'll look at certain, like, what stores do we want to be around?
Like in the same shopping center.
Yeah, in the same shopping center. So, how many people are in that area and how visible is it? And it's tricky because it's a critical point, right? Like picking the right location. And so
especially when you sign like a 10-year lease.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we'll drive around and we'll go on different days. We won't just go on like a Tuesday afternoon when it's dead, but it's like, how busy is it on a Saturday, which is the busiest day of the week for us. And I imagine most studios. It takes a while. We'll map it out. We'll do all kinds of things like that. It takes a while. And there's some of it's feel. And some of it too is like maybe just some metrics, things like that.
What are some things that you're like, absolutely not? Like you come to a spot and you're like, absolutely, this is not a place for us. We're going somewhere else.
Oh,
vape and smoke shops.
Yeah, vape and smoke shops.
Okay.
Tattoos, some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which there's a lot of those now. Like we're driving around San Antonio. There's a ton.
And you can't always control what's going to come in after you. But if I can choose between this strip and this strip, I'm going to pick the one without that stuff.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. Once upon a time here, there was a pottery shop right next door to an adult store, and that pottery shop did not make it. So I think that's probably a big reason why, when you think about dragging your kids before that storefront, to get inside. So you got to think about what's around you.
I mean, we want our we call them guests that come into our store. We want them to feel like really comfortable coming in and bringing their young children. And so we just kind of look for kind of like, I don't know, maybe more family environments or just, safe environments,
right?
Things like that. Like we're not going to go anywhere that's like has a ton of crime, I guess, or with no security. Like, that's a problem too. And we've seen some of that stuff. If there was a center that was like dying and it was like half empty, like I'm not going to go in there either. That's a good question. I've never thought about that. Any like just deal breakers, but
and there's also, parking can be an issue too.
Yeah.
Our Winter Park store, all fired up. The store we purchased, the big selling point from the owner was like, we have a parking lot across the street. It's like a really great downtown shopping area, but it's all like street parking. There's a couple public lots, but there's not a whole lot of parking. And so the fact that in our lease, the building owner also owned across the street, it's not big, but it's a lot. And there are, we can direct people to that parking spaces. That's really great. But I will say people still find places to park. That lot fills up and people figure it out. But on the other side, the new store that we did open in Orlando is in a bigger shopping center with a huge parking lot. And, when you think of like people having birthday parties, maybe one-off people coming in, it's fine. But, I think of like, I might have my birthday party at that place and then make all my party guests have to find parking. And
I'll give like maybe 2 tips on that too. Is the first one in our Orlando store, the parking lot's across the street. I put it in the lease that we were going to be able to park there.
Yeah.
So that's something it was not in the lease. And so, the landlord could sell that property at some point. Then we would have 0 parking.
Right.
So that's thing one. And there are some jurisdictions, it's probably not a big deal, but we did run across it recently, is the center has to have enough parking spots or sometimes you wouldn't be able to get a certificate of occupancy. So that's just something to keep in mind in the back of your mind and just to check, before you sign the lease.
Right. And build out a studio for 80 people. And then there's
right.
Do you have any locations that have paid parking?
Yes, it's annoying.
Yeah, how is that?
Yeah, so in Houston at our River Oaks location, they just started it last year, and it's, I don't know, was it like $2 for 2 hours? And
the first 30 minutes is free, but you still have to scan the QR code and enter all your information. So if someone coming just for a pickup,
it's a nightmare.
A little bit of a pain.
Yeah. Our sales are still up. Right. We were up last year and up again this year, like by a decent amount. So I guess people are still coming. But it's annoying, especially, people come back and pick it up. They don't want to sign in for 5 minutes to come pick up pottery. It is like the premier shopping center in that area.
And it's common in the area.
Yeah. And I think people expect that, but I find it highly annoying.
Same. I feel like Atlanta is all paid parking now, and it's such a nightmare. And, and you're right. It has not affected really where I go, but it affects my grumbling walking into a place for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, we've given our team the okay also that if there are complaints, they can always discount someone's ticket by the amount just to offset it, even though it's still a pain. But
yeah. We've even tried to get maybe some parking spots that are just specific to our store and our leases. And I don't know, out of our 9, we have 1 that has like 4 parking spots. So you could always try that.
That was the one lesson I learned the hard way. We started with free parking, and then our landlord after COVID swapped it to paid parking. And it was not written in my lease that I was going to continue to have parking if he changed it to paid. So it's not been a good time. Definitely something to think about whenever you are looking for locations and writing your lease. Like if it ever does become paid, can you write a stipulation in there that you'll have either a discount structure or be able to waive the fee or whatnot? Those things look different depending on where you are and who manages the property and the parking and whatnot, but definitely something to think about for our listeners.
So when you're thinking about studios, and what I would like to do in this conversation is think big, and then kind of go into really specifics for what you look at when you're looking at a studio space or scouting somewhere new. So when it comes to size and shape, layout and flow, vibe and all that stuff, what checks the boxes for the Raciopis?
So we found the last two that we opened are very similar, and we're really happy with them. And they are a typical rectangle, longer than wider, but wide enough. So we had looked at some spaces that were, once I did a layout, you couldn't get more than almost 2 tables across. It was too narrow. It definitely has to have enough width. Love natural light, as many windows. I mean, we're on a corner in Winter Park and it's beautiful. Love the light. So that's always good too. But yeah, I mean, the general layout, I mean, is there anything else that...
Well, I mean, like size, I mean, I think we've kind of settled on around like 2,200 square feet. It depends, where you are. I mean, we have some very successful studios at like 1,500. And some wildly successful ones at 2,200. So we're looking around there, maybe plus or minus 200 square feet. You can sell a lot of pottery in 2,200 square feet. So, I hear sometimes people have like 6,000. I don't know. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I just don't think you need that much. But so, yeah, we want to have at least that because it's about seating. And if we can get 70, 80 people in a studio, because we max out on Saturdays and a lot of our stores are on wait list all day Saturday. And even sometimes on Sundays, you have to be able to capture your customers when they come. I mean, because they're, not going to come on a Tuesday. Maybe a lot of people are working, kids are in school. And so we're looking for that size.
You said how many seats?
Yeah, like 70, 80, something like,
And I was going to say too, I mean, as far as thinking of the setup too, I mean, our pottery display area is only, I just did the math, like 18 feet wide. There's along the wall and then like a freestanding table in front of that too. And so it's not that much space that we're using for the pottery. We restock, we pull it forward. I mean, there's a lot of pottery that it's deep. It's like 30 inches deep. So there's a lot of pottery in there, but we keep that more minimal, I think, than a lot of studios in order to have more seating.
Oh yeah. It annoys Erin. We're working on a seating layout now for a store. I'm always like just trying to maximize the seating. She's like, what about the team member area? And I'm like, yeah. But it's like, yeah, I mean, so we keep the pottery display area tight, and I'm just, how many seats can I fit in? She's drawn into something yesterday. I'm like, can we push the desk back a little bit to get one more table? And that's another thing when you're looking at like a space, a lot of times if you want over 50 people, you need 2 exits and 2 bathrooms. Depends where you live, but those are things to consider. And that's really important to me. And Erin doesn't like it.
Yeah.
He's like, first just start with all the seats and then you can take out whatever you have to for the pottery and the
I mean, because like we're in some like really great centers and it's super expensive. We have some wildly high rents and I mean, you got to maximize it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you account for guests with disabilities? This is something, my mother-in-law is in a wheelchair and it's kind of a newer thing. And it's something that has changed how we attend places, so what do you look for in terms of that? Is it ramps? Is it space between tables and pottery shelves? Like how do you even go about that?
I'm usually the one doing the layouts of the tables. And even in the existing stores that we bought, we shifted things around to maximize the space. But for us, it's, yes, of course, there's coming in and having the pottery display. There's plenty of room around there. And it works out. Like, yes, we want people in wheelchairs or moms with strollers or just lots of people to be able to stand in that area. So there's a little more space in there for guests and moving around. And then there's always a wider path from like the door to the desk, which our desk is typically towards the back of the studio. And so there's always one path between the tables that's wider. And then there may be some other tables over here that are a little bit closer, but they don't have to necessarily go between every table, right? Sure. There's always a path. And then in front of the paint bar and in front of the desk, there's always, a lot more room, like 5 feet at least in front to give room for wheelchairs or strollers or just more people. Yeah. And then bathrooms too. I mean, that's kind of just part of code, but always having a bathroom, at least one. I don't remember if they made us make both.
Yeah, it just depends. It depends what city it is.
But at least one, that's large enough and ADA compliant.
But yeah, I mean, when we're opening a new store and you go through your architect drawing phase, like there's several pages devoted to all that stuff with, enough clearance. So we haven't had any issues with that. I mean, our centers are pretty big, but we had one store that our manager said, we don't have a ramp or like a raised.
Yeah, just the sidewalk up from the parking lot. There's a step.
And I was like, are you sure? And sure enough, she was right. And so we just I think it was on Amazon. We just bought a ramp, grab it out when we need to.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, most centers do, even if it's not right in front of your store.
Sure. Yeah, there's access.
Little ways, but right. And of course, we're always super accommodating. Like Steve says, like if it's a really busy Saturday, I mean, we're going to make it work that someone who maybe can't move around the studio as freely will be where they need to be, closer to the paint bar. There's easy access around.
Hi, podcasters. This is Lisa with Bisque Imports. Have you heard? We've partnered with 4-H, America's largest youth organization with over 6 million members whose demographics perfectly mirror the paint your own pottery industry's target customer. 87% of their membership are aged 5 to 13, and, contrary to popular belief, less than half of that membership is in farm or rural areas. Visit our 4-H page at bisqueimports.com to learn more about how you can partner with 4-H, what 4-H will be doing to send members right to your door, and stock up on 4-H licensed designs. Enjoy!
Are you spending hours managing studio bookings and class registrations? Occasion helps ceramic studios save an average of 3 days a week in admin time. With clever workflows, instant confirmations, and seamless class management, you can focus on what matters, creating amazing experiences for your customers. Join successful studios like Clay Cafe Avalon, who've trusted Occasion since 2016. Visit occasion.app and schedule a demo today. Mention Glazed Over Podcast for personalized setup support.
So storage. I feel like this is what everybody wants to hear. How much storage are you looking for?
Well, we'll go back to what Steve was saying, and that does not leave much room for storage.
Right.
But I also have gotten much better at the studios, maybe not so much at home, but at the studios of like only what we need. Mm-hmm. We don't need this. Okay, that receipt printer is a dud. Just throw it out. Get rid of it, right? Mm-hmm. We also don't do summer camp anymore, or some of those things where there was always just piles and bags of crafts and other stuff. So that's good. The things that we do store are, of course, we have like cleaning supplies. We do snacks and drinks. So there's backstock of snacks and drinks. We have like event or party supplies, like decorations and platters and some of those things. Try to have a little area for the team members to put their stuff, of course. When possible, we try to have like a little table in the back too, because how it goes. You go sit out in the front. You're trying to just paint after your shift, and you get asked.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's really nice. I feel like a lot of people don't consider that.
Yeah, I mean, we've carved out space too. We have like a refrigerator and a microwave for the team, and a Keurig machine. I don't think anyone uses it. Yeah, things like that. And we're lean. I mean, we only sell pottery. So we only have to store pottery. And Erin did a good job. She designed some shelves, which are quite deep and can hold a lot of pottery and have some built-in drawers and things like that.
The bottoms are drawers, yep. And then the top is the cabinet too. Yeah.
And then we just
backstock.
Yeah. And then we just order frequently. We order every Monday, like once a week, the stores place an order because there's not much room.
And I don't want boxes sitting all over the place. I mean, there's times, but like before a spring break, for example, we'll be like, order one now. And then in a couple days, just anticipate and order another one to come in.
Yeah, are you keeping stores? We'll have to get rid of customers' pottery if they don't pick it up after 2 months.
I hate that. I want to keep it as long as we can.
But 2 or 3 months is kind of like in our busiest stores, and we're just totally out of room.
Right. Yeah. We have our paint bar too is designed to store all the backstock of paint.
Oh, nice.
Supplies. There's drawers. But part of it is because we're not in the studio. I'm not in the studio every day, so I can't be like, oh, let me get more brushes and more sponges. Like, they're over here in the back in this, cabinet. I try to keep it as easy as possible for the team. Everything you need is just right here. There should be no excuses on.
That's smart. Do you keep your pottery backstock up top, like in the shelves that you mentioned with the cabinets? Is that where most of it lives?
So the drawers have backstock, and that the stuff in the drawers is already priced and ready to go out of the box. Mm-hmm. And so we'll try to keep it, whatever's in this shelf that's below. And then above is more, like the items that we do have to order like 6 or 8 cases of, to get, because we sell a lot of those. So those will be just the boxes up there.
I like that.
Although I was in there the other day and I'm like opening a drawer and I'm like, cool, nativity votives. Great. We don't need those right now, guys.
Yeah, that's tough. As like a control freak, I really admire that you guys can, make the systems and trust your staff to run it, and it'd be okay if there is a nativity votive where it's not supposed to be once or twice.
What's hilarious is then a customer came in and asked if we had a nativity scene. I am not even joking. This was on Monday when I was at the studio for the CCSA photo shoot, and I just happened to have seen it in the drawer, and I was like, as a matter of fact, I do.
Sure do.
Yeah, I don't know if this will come through well, but like Erin did a really good job shelves, and so on the bottom and top of the drawers,
Wow.
and they're like really deep. And,
they are.
So we just have a lot of stuff up there.
That's beautiful.
You can see there's 2 there, but there's 5 openings, so we can get everything there.
I like the molding detail on that. That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, you got to spend money to make money, Steve. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that.
When I heard how much it was going to cost, I was like, "There's no way!" Like I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
I tried to get a new counter built, and they were like $10,000, and I was like, "Never mind, I'll just stain this one. It's fine. No big deal."
Crazy.
The trim is pretty, but it's every layer is another layer to dust.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
In the staff area, the back room, is it the back room, the glazing room, break room? Like, is that all in one, or do you try to keep them separate? Yeah, talk to me a little bit about what's back there.
Yeah, I mean, so we call it the kiln room, and that'll have the kilns, the glazing, the dremeling station, our items that are ready for pickup. We'll put there some other things for storage, and then I think typically then we'll have a separate like utility room, where we have like, the internet and all that stuff, and maybe a sink. Sometimes the sink's not in the kiln room.
Yeah, no, this is something that's not consistent for sure. Thinking of all the different studios.
Yeah, because we work with what we have. Like when you open, sometimes there's already like a mop sink over there and bathrooms are over there, but
it works better to have the kilns over here. Yeah,
or the right. And you don't want to go through all the hassle of moving them and the extra permitting stuff that takes. So, but yeah, we'll have like, typically like a utility area too, with like Erin said, just some of the cleaning supplies, and we sell like drinks and snacks too. So we'll have like drinks and snacks and some of that stuff in the back.
Do you ever find
Erin will literally just draw out what she wants, and then they'll come in with wood and just build it, and she'll try to, so we have to just work with the space.
Do you hire a designer for every studio, or just these new 2 ones?
So we hired a designer. I found these ladies for when we renovated the Winter Park store, the All Fired Up store. We bought it. It was 22 years or so in business, and it looked like it. It was a little tired. So it was time, and it was a great opportunity for me, because at that point, the stores and the resorts, they were basically like, here's a room, go ahead. And I'm not doing anything fancy in there. We bought the Mad Potter stores, which were good. And then Clay Casa.
But they had a different look. And
Clay
Casa has a different look.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, Erin took the opportunity. And so now I feel like we have this is what our brand looks like. And so we're going to do just pretty much the exact same thing at every store, the same look and feel.
The overall look. So like I do it in Canva, and I have a desk and the paint bar and the pottery shelves and the display like as a template. And then I'll map out the space in the same scale. And then basically on the tables, and it's basically like, like a puzzle, like how do I fit this stuff in here? And there was one, like the Winter Park store where the pottery is actually in a corner, but then the next store, it was just straight along the wall. So one of them has a L-shaped desk, but the other one we just straightened it out. Try to work with all the same stuff and the elements of like, okay, we need a photo wall, like a nice wall, to take photos in front of. So it's like, where's that going to go? The kilns, right? You got the little puzzle pieces. I have a certain amount of storage space that I've measured that should be, sufficient for pottery pickup and then for storage. And yeah, it's like a little puzzle.
I love that you do it in Canva. Stuff like this can be really hard, but you can learn how to not make it quite so hard. So
I do my thing, and then we send it to the architect. And
right. You're like, fix this. Yeah. In these studio spaces, are you looking for party rooms, or do you have it out in the open? What's your take on a party room?
Well, they're different.
I want to hear from Steve. Steve, you're allowed to talk about
it. Not do party rooms at all. Part of it is maximizing the space. And so if you throw up a wall somewhere, you're going to take out some of the space. And so everything's pretty open, and we have just party areas. And it's nice that, I guess if we have parties and, people can see, hey, we do parties and things like that. And so, we build it in. And when Erin's doing the drawings, like she'll make like these colorful like slat walls that look really nice, and so we'll kind of position the party areas over there. And so that's really, and there's a lot of good places to take photos and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think we're even finding that on busy Saturdays, sometimes the partying is starting to get in the way. I never thought that would be the case, but we've actually even had to cut some of our party times on Saturdays. So no on party spaces.
Erin, you like a party space?
Oh no! I mean, I agree, because at the store in Winter Park, they did have a party room when we bought it, and was this like pretty small rectangular room, which you could hardly even fit parents in there besides just the kids. So it was small. But then the worst part is where it was situated in the space was like right in the center. And so there was this long hallway that would lead to the bathrooms. And so I remember when we, the first like year or so of having it, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, if this wall wasn't here, like I could just have a couple, like, we'd be on a wait list, right? And I'm like, oh, like I want people to sit in the hallway, but it's like, you can't do that.
Right.
That's the space sitting there. So I do like the way we do it, but you have customers who want their private space. And I think when we just say, you're in your, like I said, planning it out, I am thinking of that. Like, where can we have a party and have the least disruptions from just walk-in guests? There's a studio where you do have to walk not through the party, they're over to the side, but people who are going to the bathroom are going past the party every time. And that just happened to be the best spot for the studio.
Yeah.
But
I'm a little traumatized from working in a studio that had a party room because it would just be so loud. Like that small rectangular room, those kids could really scream in there, and it's just not very fun. So
I think it's it's a question of like how much rent do you want to pay? Like, and if you're in a low rent area and you get a little more space, or there's already a party room kind of there, like fine, it's great, But we're just trying to stay as lean as we can. And,
Right.
So you mentioned earlier pottery that's ready to be picked up is in the back. Does it stay in the back or does it move to the front?
No, it stays in the kiln room.
Do you bag and tag, or how do people?
No, we've actually recently totally overhauled this. I think we just basically copied what Lori and Scott do, because we used to like take it out and then group everything by receipt.
By ticket.
And so now it's just so much faster. We just take it out and put all the mugs in one spot and all the banks in one spot, and keep everything together. It's really fast, right? It saves a lot of time.
Right. Well, and it evolved too with our point of sale. So we used to print the receipt and handwrite the descriptions on the receipt, and then you had a stack of receipts, and so it was helpful to group them together. We would put them alphabetical, and and that was also with the guests, when they come, we have it ready to go. But then now with our point of sale, we're actually, now we even changed it. So at one point then we were putting the descriptions on the order in the point of sale. So then you would only print the receipt when they came. But now we've even evolved. Steve's
this is the biggest breakthrough in our company.
Okay, here we go.
I'm excited.
Secrets.
This is like, you sure you want to tell them?
Other people do it. It's not like
$500 directly to Steve and Erin.
Our team is thrilled about this. I've tested it in the store. It's amazing. We don't write descriptions anymore. And so when someone turns in their pottery, they pay. It prints out a receipt automatically. We put the receipt down on the table
with their name and phone number,
with the pieces right next to it, and we take a photo. Just in the store, we just have iPhones and iPads in our stores, and we take a photo with the receipt and the pieces, and that's it.
Throw away the receipt.
And when they come pick it up, you just type in the last name and
search it in photos.
It searches
exactly.
And then you can see it, and you have to read this description.
Oh my gosh. Some of our girls were writing you would see like a novella,
I bet,
about this princess bank, and oh my gosh, all the freckles and her
right. And then you have the customers who aren't used to painting pottery. I remember they'd come pick it up and they'd be like, oh yeah, this is yours. And they're like, no, it's not. And it's like, no, I was here when you painted it. I promise. And they're like, no, it was pink, and it, it's red or whatever.
It's red,
yeah, that's really smart to cut out the paper receipt and just have this oh yeah, no, look, it's right here. I told you.
Yeah,
right.
But it's helped. It's a game changer.
The big thing is too, there'd be like a line of pottery waiting to be described.
Sure.
Go through past that so that then they can go in the back room.
The time savings.
And
it's
So I'm asking, as a person that has 50,000 photos on her camera roll right now, have you thought about when you're deleting that photo? Like, does staff delete on
when
pickup?
They pick it up, we delete it. Yeah.
Nice.
Right. And if somebody if you two come paint together, but Amy, you're just coming to get your piece, we'll edit it and mark out your piece.
Oh,
right on the screen. It's incredible.
It
is. It's the biggest breakthrough we've had. Wow.
Right. And I know other people have done it, the photos, and I think we just never collect until.
Yeah. Well, now that everything is searchable, like on iPhones and iPads.
Right.
So nice.
Yeah. And they're all synced up under the same iCloud account. So, you can just, quick grab the phone and take a picture, and then it'll show up on the iPads.
I mean, because I think about that too. It's like, how do I make my team happier? How do I make their job easier? And then, and they'll be happier. And so I think this was a huge thing for us. I mean, I don't know, 5 minutes per transaction probably or something. It's a lot of time.
That's very cool.
Yeah. The time and labor cost are speaking my language. So
Right, right. We even moved to this system of just putting the pottery on the shelves grouped together as opposed to matching it with the tickets, because that was the thing. As I saw our team, it was taking so much time to, they would unload and get the pottery ready. And then it was taking so much more time just matching it up and doing that part of it. And I'm like, a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people don't even come back for this pottery.
Right,
So
right.
we're spending all this time now that is wasted. Whereas, it does take more time now when for the guests, like when they come and they're standing there at the desk, it takes a few minutes. And sometimes if you have a sea of black and white penguins and you're trying to find the one with a pink heart on its butt, it takes a minute. But I think our guests they're starting to learn, right? That's the process. And occasionally someone will call ahead, hey, I'm on my way. And you try to pull my pieces out ahead of time. And of course we'll be accommodating with that. But overall, with the team, the time savings is,
I bet. Do you wrap pottery pickup at your desk, or do you?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all they come pick up, grab it, wrap it.
Yeah, we'll bring them out and we're like, hey, check them out. What do you think? Chatting, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll just wrap them up in tissue, put them in a bag. And
is that tissue station very large? I remember that being kind of an issue in the studio, is how much space the wrap station takes up. So what does that look like?
It's just, on the desktop, on the busier times, so behind the desk, there's shelves and there's a shelf for tissue and then the bag. And so on the busier times, they'll take a stack of the tissue and just have it sitting on top of the desk.
Sure.
But when it's not, and during the week, it's in on the shelf and it's nice.
Yeah, this is like our desk at Clay Casa, and it's just
beautiful.
It's all contained within that. So underneath where
awesome.
she is, there's tissue paper. She'll bring some up to the top, and Erin drew out like little slots underneath, and
it was like measuring. I'm measuring when we were first getting this all set up, like measuring the bags, and actually at our Winter Park store, the shelf was like an inch too short, so the tissue paper just barely hangs off. And if there's too much in there, it slides out. So future stores now, I'm like, it needs to be that 1 inch bigger. You
Absolutely. Yeah. And the tabletop is so clean. And just a reminder that you can watch this episode. I think you can watch it on YouTube or Spotify. So if you want to see these visuals, definitely log in and watch it. But the tabletop,
we can send you some too to put if you do like an Instagram post or something.
Yes, please. Yeah, send those to me. It's so clean. There's no monitor. There's no anything like that. And that's because of the iPads, right? You guys are an iPad store. They walk around and check people out that way.
Yes.
Yep.
It looks really good.
Table, preferably. It's awesome.
Yeah, looks very nice. Wow. Yeah, I just want to come paint. That's kind of the big takeaway here.
We'd love to have you.
So you're a pottery only place, but let's say that I'm a studio that's looking for a new space that would allow me to have like clay, Can you speak to what we should look for if we do want to do clay in the studio? Is it extra sinks? Is it, storage space? What would you say?
That I don't know. Honestly, I think if you did a podcast already, maybe it was somebody about clay. Circle back to that one. So that one, I don't know. All I've heard is it's really messy.
Yeah, I think you'd want to carve out like a certain amount of square footage. If I were doing it, if I wanted 6 seats, I would get how big each thing is, and
wheels.
Yeah.
So we don't do clay.
It takes up a lot of space. Jess, do you do clay?
Yes, but not always, not on a walk-in basis with the customers. It doesn't have a designated spot in my studio. It has a spot in our second location that does production only. And we bring it to the studio, but it is a footprint on a cart. I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm going to roll this cart in and this is what you got. Here you go. Yeah. You do have to look for the plumbing is a big issue with it. You either need to have a system or invest in the clay sink that prevents the clay from going down your pipes, because it will gunk up your pipes in the same way that our underglazes and glazes will gunk up your pipes if you're not careful with that as well. It'll just happen a lot quicker. So I think if there's one thing, that's the thing. It's going to be the plumbing is going to be the huge issue there. And some locations, they're not even going to want you in because they know that, or the pipes are going to just be too narrow from it being an older building for them to even want to pull you there. So I know that from looking for clay locations, and I learned a lot about the issues that come along with that. And also you just need a lot of power. Like we think we need a lot of power with just running kilns and lights and stuff. But if you've got 6 wheels in there and a bunch of other stuff, like you're going to need a lot of power that is easy to drop down from the ceiling so that you're not tripping over things. People aren't putting their wheelchairs over things or strollers and whatnot. But I think the power in general is something that has to be be considered. I know we need the specific outlets for our kilns in the back. My customers talk a lot about like they're always looking for an outlet to charge their phone. That's something I've had to start considering is how do we give that to the customers if that's what they need. Do you guys get that? Do y'all have like a charging station for customers or anything?
No,
We don't specifically, again, work with what we have. If we don't have any at our store, that the one that's on the corner, there are not outlets available for guests. So we'll just, a lot of times people just ask us, do you have a charger? Can I stick this on your desk for a little bit? And we're happy to accommodate. But I mean, in the new stores, I'm not going out of my way, but I will be like, are there a couple outlets? Okay.
What display areas do you guys have in your studios? Do you do the window display or do you do like a speed bump or anything?
So yeah, it's just like I said, like along the wall are those built-in shelves. And then there's a long rectangular table. It's not you're not exactly running into it like a speed bump, but it is, right there when you first walk in. And there's another layer then on top. And a picture.
Yeah, it's kind of looks like that.
Oh, nice. Okay. I see.
Cute.
Oh, very cute. And is this just like a seasonal change out?
Yep. That front.
So cute.
That table right now is like berry sweets. We have like strawberry type pieces and things in there right now. But that's the main featured display when you walk in. But yeah, it's right when you walk in. So we have our pottery just all right there. Try to keep it just in one space and then save the rest of the space with the tables.
Anything in a front window?
We put vinyl on the windows to give a little detail, but
most of our places will not allow us to put stuff on our front windows. It'll just be very minimal. We can't even put up, one of those neon signs.
Open signs, some of the shopping centers.
Some of our places.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Wow.
Yep. A couple of the stores, there are tables in front of the windows. The new ones, some of them we do. And so, but yeah, we just have like a regular kitchen table, height table. And then, but we have other tables on top. So definitely to add some height and, when we can hang stuff from the ceiling then to kind of fill in that vertical space. But yeah, we do kind of a variety, but the newer stores kind of going forward, the plan is not so much. It's hard. Our pottery, it's not very big. And so it doesn't make a very big impact. I know Lulu paints tons of huge platters just to fill a display in the window. And that's, you have to do that to make an impact. So we've just tried to not have to do that.
There's something to be said too about people walking by and seeing your store full of people having a great time, So I'm in that boat as well. I don't have anything in my front windows, and my whole front wall, one of my walls is nothing but a giant window. But we do have, some bar stools there, but I think I like taking that picture a lot from the outside looking in and seeing everyone, doing their things. So I think that's more helpful than a pottery display for pulling people in my opinion.
Right. So yeah, like the two new stores, you walk in the door and on the left is the pottery display. And then on the right are tables. And we do, like you're saying, in the window, we do have like a skinnier, almost like a bar, regular height, but a table right there in the window. So yeah, it's not the first table to get used, but it is pretty cool when people can walk by and see people painting.
It's super cute. So, it's a perfect little like date night clip picture to take, and whatnot, or mom and kid. Like I get that picture so often. It's the best one.
And with the natural light, it's awesome.
Yes, the natural light, that does it.
When you are studio hunting, not necessarily hunting, but when you are in negotiation.
That's what I'm imagining too. Yeah.
You're right.
Driving
like
around.
a paint palette and a brush.
Do you run into issues with the landlord being like, kilns? No. How do you navigate that? Is there like a pitch you have to be like, actually, it's not that big of a deal. Calm down.
We have not. I mean, in my experience, our landlords haven't cared at all. The only thing I don't know if it's been tricky or not, is just finding an exhaust way out the building. We have some spaces where we don't have an exterior back wall, so we have to go through the roof. But they don't. I don't know. They didn't care. We just had to use their roofing contractor.
Sure.
It's more expensive to do all that stuff, but we haven't had any concerns. I think maybe the only concern is like when you're going through permitting, like they'll look at that, and we do change out our sprinkler heads. We make them higher temperature rated sprinkler heads, so we don't accidentally set one off or something like that. I never heard of anyone doing that, but we do it anyway. But no.
If you had to, and mention, most schools have a kiln, right? So, there's that.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted us to have a hood, like a kitchen hood to draw the heat out. But we explained, well, there's actually this venting system that's made for the kilns. So that was sufficient. So, people.
But that was like a permitting thing. That wasn't like a landlord thing,
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's where people just may not know. And so you had to educate them. And
Scott, they'll just, send us the specifications and things like that. And they read it, and it hasn't been a problem.
It's a good point to bring in the resource that is Scott, because obviously they would have what you need. How many kilns do y'all start with? Or do you keep it just a standard number at every studio?
So what we do is we open with 2 kilns with a spot for a 3rd kiln. And we don't have, even our top store have just 3 kilns. And it's amazing how much pottery you can sell with just 3 kilns.
1227s?
1227s, yep.
That's something to think about too, I think, when you're getting in a new space and thinking about growth. I'm not sure that we're all thinking about like, where will we be in 5 years? Well, where will we be in 10 years? So it's smart to give yourself the opportunity for something a little bit bigger.
So we did have one of the stores set up for 3, electrical for 3. And we had the 2 kilns delivered first. And then it was a few months later that they're like, okay, I think we're ready. And it was great to be able to call Lisa at BI and have it down. And, we had it coordinated with the day that we could be there to receive it and install it. It was all ready to go. So that was great. It wasn't this hassle of like, oh no, okay, now we need to get the electrician back out and figure this out and that. And, when you're planning ahead, you're already doing the electrical anyway. Like, yes, it's going to cost more money up front, but it's going to save you time and energy later.
Yeah. And I think if I were someone maybe just getting started out, no customers, I probably would just start with 1. I think you can sell a lot of pottery with 1 kiln, and then you can grow to 2. I would think that most of our industry probably doesn't need more than 2 kilns.
But the idea of starting smaller. And then,
absolutely.
Right. And again, if you're all ready to go and you just need that, you're ready for that 2nd kiln, it can be there real soon. Because we're definitely caught up now. There was a time where that wasn't the case. Everyone decided to be a ceramicist, during COVID, right? So
I know.
Right.
I would say if you're looking for a space too.
We're all fighting for our jobs.
To see if it's like 3-phase power, because if you get the 3-phase kilns, it's less capacity in your control panel, and sometimes there's not a ton of space in your control panel, and so you will save a good 20 amps per kiln if you go 3-phase. So if it's available, if you have 3-phase power, so that's something to think about.
That's a good tip. Hot tip. All right. Well, I sort of have a silly question, and I would like to hear from both of you. Like, what is your favorite part of the studio? Like, is it, it can be a really small detail. It can be a system that you have implemented. It could be the phone search photo system, but I would love to know like what you consider to be your favorite.
There's a lot.
Oh, please.
So one that's really small is, so we have a rainbow wall, like with vertical boards. And when we went out to the store in San Antonio, the new store, they had already painted it, but we hadn't seen it in person. And we got there and they did not sand the boards before they painted them. And I am sorry, but it was not okay. It was like, this is where people are even taking photos in front of. Yep. And so we had to have them sand the boards down. And so they were taking off the rainbow on the fronts, and they had primed the boards with white. And so they had dropped a curtain because of course it was super dusty everywhere. And so I came around and I saw it where they had sanded the fronts off and it was white, but in between was still the rainbow. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. We're going to do this. And of course the painter's like, oh, it's a huge pain in the butt.
Of course.
And I was like, this is amazing. So, because I didn't want rainbow, bright colors everywhere, I didn't want too much. Yeah. And so in one space, there is a smaller space with the rainbow with the logo, but then in that party area, we do the little rainbow, which is just the in-betweens. That was a fun little thing that I just happened to come across, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? We have all the paint here, and this is the plan, and
called an audible. It was
There you go.
But so that's a really small one. That's just a random decorative detail. But as far as systems, I'm really happy with. I don't remember if I saw this from someone else. Thank you. I don't know if we came up with it or how it all came to be, but when we do a paint tutorial for the guests, we do it at the table, and we have a dinner plate that has everything you need to know on it. And it's here's 1 coat versus 3 coats. Here's before it's fired and after. And so we can have that right there at the table and show them all the things. And on the back, we flip it over. Not every time. If it's a 5-year-old with a race car, we don't flip it over. But if it's, some 20-somethings with vases, we're and then look at this. We do marbling and bubbles and all these cool techniques, right? So that's been a really great tool to, show the guests things that are available, because they may go up to the paint bar and see sponges, but not know what that's going to do, or a toothbrush. Why are there toothbrushes on the thing, right? We use them for speckling. And we have painted samples, of course, on the shelves, but not everybody sees that stuff or really,
or can understand. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I can do that, So for me, that's really great, because then we can have the team and the guests working together to make amazing pieces. Because I know when I'm in the studio, I'm just there and this is what, of course we train our team to do, but it's like, I can't get enough of like, oh my gosh, what else are we going to do on this one? Oh, do you want to marble the inside of that? We need to do some baby footprints over here, right? And so if I can't be there, I think something like that, it helps the team to be able to relay that and at least spark some interest in the guests to ask more questions.
Right.
If my team isn't bringing that information to them, but they do a great job. I mean, I think the team does love doing techniques. To me, those types of things make it, painting pottery is an amazing experience, right? But if you can add on and, elevate it into something that maybe they didn't even know about, or that they see something and they're like, okay, I'm not doing the bubbles this time, but next time. Like, that's what I want, right? They're coming back next time.
One of the things I like that we did, we try to make like a little local touch to each of the stores. And so in our store in Winter Park, for example, the peacock is like the symbol of Winter Park, and it's on street signs. It's on like
sewer caps.
And so we got, like, I can show you here, if you're watching a video.
Oh my gosh.
That's above the paint bar. So it's like all of the different colors we carry painted.
DI's peacock bag.
Yep. And then we,
cute.
drilled a hole in the back, right? And it's a pain to put
I bet.
nails in and get it level. But we did that in Winter Park. And then in Texas, I think we did like a Texas shape.
Yep, the
plate.
Texas plates.
I don't know, just try to get like a little bit of like a local unique thing.
I really like that. It like, it's still under the brand, right? We do this across stores, but it's a nice little like Easter egg almost.
Are you calling me Taylor Swift?
Yes, you are Taylor Swift. You are my Taylor Swift. Yeah, I would love to see all the eras of the Raciopis, with the stores and stuff.
That'd be fun.
I mean, I'm a buzz. I want to go studio hunting as we speak.
I know.
Jess, is there anything else for the Raciopis that you have?
No, I think you guys did a really great job answering all the questions and telling us what we need to look for when we're looking for new studios. And I also am always looking at studios. I've always loved the build out part. I've built a lot of businesses, not just studios in general, and I think it's a really fun time to look into a blank space and then reimagine it and then bring it to life. Then you have to work it and make money for you. So that's the secondary part of it, But I'm with you guys. Like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have you on for the part 2, which is how to make money with the successful studio.
Yeah,
on the basis.
Right.
We'll slowly just every episode will be the Raciopis, coming back to talk about something.
Yeah. Got some ideas.
Yes.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
We hope you enjoyed that podcast. Don't forget, head over to Bisque Imports to find out how you can partner with local 4-H groups to create lasting relationships within your community that not only give back to this amazing organization, but help your business grow and thrive.
Yeehaw, studio owners! Saddle up for success at the 2025 CCSA Annual Convention, happening September 5th through the 8th in Denton, Texas. This year, we're bringing cowboy country theme to the heart of the fine arts, and you won't want to miss it. Get ready for an action-packed event featuring over 35 industry classes designed to boost your business, an exhibit hall filled with the latest and greatest from top suppliers, plus social events where you can connect with fellow studio owners. And don't forget the grand finale, a boot scooting gala and silent auction that'll have you dancing the night away. So dust off your cowboy boots and join us for a weekend of learning, networking, and good old Texas-sized fun. This is an exclusive event you can't afford to miss. Head to ccsaonline.com to reserve your spot at the 2025 CCSA Annual Convention, and we'll see y'all in Denton.
Well, where can we find you guys if we want to reach out or see some what's happening in the studio? How can we find y'all online?
Well, I recently opened up my Instagram profile because it makes it easier to share than with the studio. So I would go in like this week at the photo shoot. I was adding to my stories, but then tagging All Fired Up, right? So we could share it easier. So you can follow me. It's like I'm in spurts, guys. It's like I'm like in the studio and it's like, check all this out. And then you don't hear from me for,
you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
That's fun. But then, all of our studios have their separate Instagrams. They're all pretty similar, but there's All Fired Up Florida. There's Clay Casa, which is Clay_Casa_. The Mad Potter, Polka Dot Pots, not as active. That's the OG resort stores. They maybe don't get as much love, but they're good. They're good. But that's all our Instagrams. But you can always email us anytime. Find us on, find me on chat or two. But the best email is just Erin@themadpotter.com or Steve@themadpotter.com.
And
Happy
we'll,
And
anytime.
yeah.
are we going to see you guys at convention this year?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I am
yes.
ready.
Oh, it's down there. I moved. Sorry.
Aaron moved it.
I may or may not have
Right.
Well, it looks
added
beautiful.
Yes.
my
I
they're
noticed that.
gorgeous.
here
Yeah.
painted. This was another auction prize.
Yeah, that's a Liz one.
It's a Liz. It was a
Yep.
three ball set. So
Uh-huh.
Katie and I believe Rachel have the other two.
Yeah.
Complete the set.
And I'm seeing a lot of Pearl Jam, which I know for sure is Aaron.
Uh-huh.
Gosh,
Yeah.
Eddie.
No.
Yeah.
We've seen him I think I've seen him 30 times now.
Wow.
So Aaron's
Wow.
probably seen him 20.
A lot of Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
you
see
can't
all
see
the
the
bourbon
bourbon.
down
There's a
here.
lot of.
I guess I clocked that. Don't worry.
Oh, you saw it. It was like a bunch over there. Aaron took down,
Oh,
but
boy.
yeah, I'm
I was
ready.
like, this is too much.
I've got my big Texas belt buckle.
Oh, my
I need to
gosh.
get the belt part, I guess, for it.
Heck
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
we have 5 stores in Texas, so we're really excited to go this year in Texas. We're going to bring a lot of our team. They can just drive there. We're really looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm excited to meet everybody. And if I don't leave convention with a cowboy hat, I'm going to be so mad. So I want, accountability here.
Okay.
Make sure I'm going shopping because
Okay.
I have the head for a cowboy hat. What can I say? Huge. Well, y'all, thank you so much. This was such a delight. And everyone back home, what am I saying? Everyone at home, thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank y'all. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Amy Williams and Jessica Cowan. Editing by Scott Lester. Executive production by Vicki DeWood. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.